Hey guys, welcome back. Let's transform this OEM door panel and give it a nice, fresh, updated look. Let's start by flipping the door panel over and removing the screws to take off the speaker grill, as well as removing the screws to disassemble the lower portion of the little pocket that's on the door panel itself. Use a Phillips screwdriver or a drill to remove these screws. Once you remove these screws, the speaker grill cover will automatically fall off of the door panel itself. Good to go there. Then move on to the rest of these screws that I showed you in the last clip to remove that lower portion of that door panel. Once all the screws are removed, the lower portion of that door panel should just pop right off like so. Next, let's remove the insert from the door panel. You want to find an area where you can peel back that gray material from the door panel itself, exposing that black material that's underneath. I use the window switch area to begin pulling it back. Work in little sections, get to one of the edges. Once you get to the edges, work your way to one of the ends. Once you get to the end of the piece right here, you can pull back the entire insert area all in one piece without having to make any type of incision. Once you get that off, say goodbye to that ugly old gray insert, and we're going to toss that piece. We will be using ammonia-free glass cleaner, some alcohol, I'm using 91%. You want to use some lint-free towels, get you a good set of some nitrile gloves or latex gloves, and some 100 grit sandpaper. Now we're ready to clean the door panel. Spray a generous amount of this glass cleaner onto your door panel itself. Spray in the main door panel, the insert area, as well as that little crevice that separates the main door panel from the insert area. Fold up the paper towel in order to fit inside of that creased area and work your way all the way around. Repeat these steps as many times as needed to make sure that this door panel is clean. Also, pull back the top window trim, stick your paper towel in between, and clean that portion. Once that's good, flip it over and also clean the perimeter of the back side of this door panel. Anywhere you see this black material is where suede will be applied. Do take your time and repeat these steps as much as needed in order to make sure you have a good clean surface to work off of. The window trim on top of the door panel will need to be masked off, as this will not get any suede. I used some blue tape, cut them into small sections. With one hand, I peeled back the trim, and with the other hand, I slid it in between the door panel and the trim itself and folded it over, covering that trim completely. Once the window trim has been fully masked off, do another round of cleaning on your door panel to remove any fingerprints, as the next step is going to be sanding. We're going to sand the entire front of the door panel, insert area, the little separation line, the side of the door panel around the entire perimeter, as well as the back side of the door panel, anywhere you see that black material. Once you have cut to size your material, you may notice you have some wrinkles. I'm going to show you a technique to remove those wrinkles. Grab your iron and put it on the silk or synthetic setting, which is the lowest setting there is. You want to place your hand on the material and iron away from your hand, preventing any additional wrinkles from occurring. You're going to do this in several directions. I'm doing side to side, now I'm doing up and down. This will eventually remove all of the wrinkles there. Make sure your work surface is prepared and ready to go. We're going to do some final masking on the door panel. Since the insert is going to be a different color, I am taping the insert area off with this blue tape completely, as I don't want any adhesive in this area right here. Once you got the insert area completely covered with blue tape, make sure that that blue tape is in that crevice and not overhanging on the main door panel. It should look something like this right here. Grab your wrinkle-free material, place it on your work surface. Good side should be facing the work surface, and place your door panel on top and begin to spray down some adhesive. Apply your adhesive in several light coats. Grab your Exacto knife and separate the webbing that occurred from that spray adhesive. The spray adhesive I'm using is 3M Headliner Adhesive. Once you separate the webbing, you should see clear separation between your fabric and your door panel. By having this separation, it makes it much easier to lift your door panel without pulling up that material. Once you're good to go there, flip your door panel over and place it on your material itself. Leave some adhesive on the bottom, that way you can cover the very bottom portion of your door panel. This part has been rolled up. This section right here is not rolled up, so you see the difference. Still exposing the bottom portion of that door panel. So I simply push my hand underneath the material, pressing it against the door panel itself like so. Once the bottom portion of the fabric has been applied to the bottom portion of the door panel, grab the fabric and door panel and flip the entire thing over as one. Peel back that material And what you want to find is the cutoff line of where that adhesive was applied and not applied. Now we're ready to complete the middle section of our door panel. Start applying some adhesive to your door panel and also start applying some adhesive onto the fabric. I'm not covering the entire thing, just doing a small section at a time. That's the best way to tackle this door panel, is in sections. Apply several light coats in order to get some good coverage on both the panel and the fabric. As you can see here, I have about the same type of adhesive applied to the panel as the fabric. That's going to be my next step, is working this portion of the fabric up onto the door panel. Again, I'm not covering the entire door panel and I'm not covering the entire material. I stick my hand underneath, in between the fabric here, and I'm sliding my hand back and forth across this door panel, working that material onto the door panel itself. And I'm going by feel to make sure that I don't have any wrinkles here. Then I will flip this material back up just to confirm that I don't have any wrinkles showing. Carefully examine the portions that have been covered so far. If you do have any wrinkles, now is the time to fix it. You have a 60-minute set time. As you can see here, I do have some wrinkles in the speaker area. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling this material back up. I'm going to use one hand to kind of stretch it out, and I'm using the other hand to smooth it along the panel itself. The speaker area is recessed from the main door panel. In order to allow me to push this material down and get it fully seated, I'm going to make some relief cuts. This is going to allow me some extra flexibility in this material. I'm then going to use my hand and push that material down into the crevice in that speaker area to make sure it's fully seated. Once that issue has been addressed, let's move on to the top portion of our door panel here. Again, we're going to find that cutoff line of where glue is applied and not applied, and make sure your material doesn't have any wrinkles before applying additional adhesive. For this top portion, you notice that I'm getting close to my insert area. Since I'm not applying this material to that insert area, I'm not applying glue to that middle section. I'm applying glue into what would be like a mirror image for the top part of that door panel. As you see, this middle section is not getting any adhesive, as this is going to be over the insert area, and that insert area will eventually be a different color. Grab your Exacto knife and remove any webbing that may be covering the crevice from the main door panel and the insert area. It's a good idea to make sure you have a good, fresh, clean, sharp blade. Take your time, you don't want to gouge into your door panel here. Slightly roll your material up into the crevice line of your insert and use a card to make a baseline of where that cutoff point from the main door panel and the insert area goes. We're going to use this baseline to help us in the following steps. Apply the rest of the material that has adhesive to the door panel. Stretch it out to make sure that you don't have any wrinkles. Grab your Exacto and make a relief cut in the center section of that insert area. Know where the edges of your insert area is to make sure that you're in between there. Before we complete the top portion of our door panel, we want to cover up any part of our door panel that is exposed. I am using some masking paper and covering the good portion of that door panel, as I do not want to get any overspray on there. If you do get some overspray on there, fair warning, this stuff does not come off easily, so take the extra time to make sure you prep properly. Determine where the top portion of that insert area is going to be on your fabric. That way you know where to properly apply your adhesive to your material. Since we're not using that insert area, as I mentioned before, no adhesive is required in that spot on the panel and the fabric itself. So you want to apply adhesive to the fabric as well as the door panel, several light coats to make sure that you get some good coverage. Be sure to also wait a couple of minutes before you start rolling that up to make sure it's nice and tacky. The coverage of your adhesive should look something like this. Once you're ready to go and it's tacky, same process for this top portion of the door panel. We're going to roll up the material onto the door panel. I'm using my hand to feel just to make sure that I don't have any wrinkles. If I do have wrinkles, again, right now is the time to address it. So I'm working on one side, going up a couple of inches. Now I'm working the other side, working that up by a couple of inches as well. Once I'm in a good shape there, I'm going to fold the rest of this material over. If you notice right here, I do have some wrinkles. What I am doing is I am grabbing both portions of this material. Good thing I got that relief cut in there. It's allowing me something to grip onto. And I'm stretching the material with one hand and pushing and flattening it out with the other hand. And do this wherever you need to if you have any wrinkles, to make sure you get all that stuff sorted out. Grab your Exacto knife and make a larger cut inside of that insert area, but do not exceed that insert area and go onto your main door panel. We're making this cut as the next step is going to be removing this blue tape. By removing this blue tape, it is going to allow us to push this black suede into that cutoff line, that crevice area, much more easily. Grab your card and press this material into that crevice area. Make sure that it's fully seated, and you're going to do that all the way around. You want the entire thing to be fully seated into that crevice around that insert area, so you have a nice defined line, something like this. It's very important to have a nice clean blade on your Exacto knife before making this cut right here. You want to stick the blade inside of that crevice area, and you want to cut out the material that's overhanging into that insert area. Take your time with your cuts here. You don't want to cut into the main body of your door panel. Once you work your way all the way around this insert area, remove that excess material that is covering the insert area currently. Once all of that excess material has been removed, we're going to want to grab our card again, and we're going to stick the card into that little crevice and work our way all the way around the insert area one more time, just to make sure that that black suede is fully seated into that crevice area. We don't want that stuff to be lifting up later on. The front portion of our door panel is completed as far as black suede goes, so grab your panel and your material, flip that guy over, and now let's prepare to do the wrapping around the back portion of our door panel. Once you get to this point, you want to pull your material and find that separation line of adhesive. On the top portion of the panel here, you'll notice this is where that window trim, and I have excess material. So I will be trimming this material in order to fit underneath that trim properly. I'm gauging this to see how much I am going to be trim. You want to know this before you start applying this adhesive. Same thing with this adhesive. Several light coats in order to get some good coverage. If you have any holes like I do with this speaker hole, I'm going to use some masking paper to make sure that I don't get any adhesive onto my table. This stuff is super sticky and it's pretty difficult to get off. So not only am I doing the outside perimeter edge, I'm also doing the inside perimeter edge. Remember, anywhere that we see black on this door panel is eventually going to get covered with black suede. We want to roll over onto the back side of this door panel to make sure that this suede adheres properly and it's going to stay there forever. Double check your material and double check your door panel to make sure you didn't miss any spots. If you did, now's the time to fix that. Here I am trimming the top portion of this material where it's going to go underneath the window trim section. So I'm leaving just enough material in order to clear that trim and fold over. Once I have that trimmed out to where I want it to be, I'm going to use a card. With one hand, I'm lifting up the trim, and with the other hand, I'm using the card to push the material underneath that trim section. It should look something like this, nice and smooth and no wrinkles. Proceed to trim the rest of the excess material around the perimeter of the door panel. You want to trim off the section of the material that does not have any adhesive, leaving material that has adhesive left to roll over onto the back of the panel. Once you got all that stuff trimmed out, start in one section, grab your material, roll it over on the back side, and work your way all the way around the door panel itself. When you flip it over, use your fingers and your hands to press it against the back side. On the corners right here, I'm using some clamps to help hold that material in place until that glue fully dries. There is a 60-minute working time, but I'm going to let it dry a little bit longer just to make sure that we're good here. If you have any other pieces that you need to trim off, or maybe that don't have glue, if you might notice some extra excess material, now is the time to get that stuff taken care of. Applying more clamps onto the corner sections here. I'm doing it on the corner sections because that's where the material kind of bunches up on the back side, and I want to make sure that everything is adhering to the panel properly. This is an example of me grabbing the material and rolling it over onto the black portion here. Same thing with this last little piece as well. I'm going to grab this, lift it up, and roll it onto the panel itself. All of the material on the back side of this panel should have adhesive adhering it to the panel itself. This is an example of what the corners look like and some of the material bunching up like I mentioned. I want to make sure that that sticks to the panel really good, so I'm going to let it sit overnight. Good night, sweet dreams. Good morning. Today's a new day. Let's go check out this door panel that we just made. It looked pretty good last night. Pretty excited to see what it looks like now that everything has been dried up. Hopefully everything is sticking properly and everything looks good and there's no wrinkles, which there shouldn't be. There wasn't any last night, so I don't think they grows wrinkles overnight. You know, it's not an old person. Remove the rest of your clamps. I'm just pressing and making sure that this material is sticking properly to the back of this door panel, which it is, so I'm super excited about that. Once I get all of my clamps off, let's go ahead and flip this sucker over and see what it looks like. This door panel looks pretty freaking amazing, I'm not gonna lie to you. I love the way that Suede looks inside of cars. It's a nice, sporty, yet classy and sophisticated look. I love the way it feels. I like how there's a grain to it and it moves as you run your fingers across it. I freaking love Suede. It's stretched perfectly where I needed it to stretch. No wrinkles. This top trim area, everything came out just the way I wanted it to. Cover the middle portion of your work surface. Grab your supplies to get ready to do the insert area of the door panel itself. Since we are focusing on the insert area, we want to protect the black suede that we just applied last night. So grab the blue tape, cut off sections of that blue tape, and apply it on the black suede where that cutoff line is at. To get around these curves, just cut smaller portions of that blue tape in order to make that radius properly. We want to cover all of the black suede around that insert area, as we don't want to get any adhesive overspray onto that black suede. It should look something like this once you have all of that completed. Grab your card one more time. We're going to use it to make sure that this blue tape is inside of that crevice. So work your card all the way around this insert area to make sure you don't have any black suede exposed. To cover what is exposed on this door panel, I'm going to use some masking paper and some blue tape to make sure that I'm protecting that nice, good, clean suede that we just applied. Obviously, we want to cover all of that good black suede around this entire door panel here. So take your time and make sure that you have all of your tape positioned properly and your paper is positioned properly. This is what it should look like. If you notice, the door handle area does have that paper that we laid on the work surface underneath. So that's why we did that there. Go ahead and do another round of cleaning on that inlay insert area with some alcohol and some glass cleaner with your lint-free paper towels, and make sure you clean that really well. Lay the material that you'll be using for the insert area over the door panel. That way you can see exactly how much material will be needed in order to cover that insert. You do want to leave some excess material on both sides, as there is a recess in that inlay area, and you want to make sure that you have enough material in order to cover that. I like to play it on the safe side, so this is about how much excess material I have over the inlay area. Once you got that situated, flip your inlay material over and apply your adhesive to both the material and the insert area on your door panel. Once the adhesive is nice and tacky, you are ready to apply this material to that insert area. Lightly lay that material over the insert area. I do this lightly because there is that recess and I want that material to sit in that recess properly without having to do too much stretching. Once you have it placed down, then begin to work that material onto that insert area. I use the same process here, one hand to kind of pull it, the other hand to kind of smooth it out on top of that insert area. And you're going to do that all the way around that entire insert area. I'm also using my finger to kind of push into that crevice that's from the insert area and the main panel, so I can have a nice defined line like this. That's where the door handle is going to be and the window switches are underneath, but all of the material laid out really nice and smooth on that insert area. Grab your card and work that insert material into that crevice just as we did with that black suede. We want both of this material to sit into that crevice properly in order to have a nice defined cutoff line of the main door panel and this insert material. Make sure you got a nice fresh blade on your Exacto knife and proceed to make your cut inside of that crevice around that insert area. Do take your time here. Make sure that you do not cut into your door panel, as well as not cutting into the insert area. You want to do this nice and cleanly, so take your time, and I can't stress the fresh, good, clean blade enough. If you have a dull blade, it's going to catch and it's not going to have a nice clean cut. Once that's cut out, remove the excess material. Do this very carefully. You don't want to have any glue coming back up and go onto that inlay material that you just made right there. Once all that is good to go, grab that masking paper that we used to cover that black suede and begin to pull that back off. You want to do this in small sections, again, making sure that you're not pulling up any adhesive that may be not dried yet, and you don't want that to web onto either your black suede or that material that you put into that insert area. We want to keep this nice and clean. At this point, I'm super happy. I can see the black suede that we applied. I can see the insert area. It's looking pretty freaking awesome. Not quite finished up yet though. There are a couple other steps we have to do in order to fully complete this, but this gives you an idea of what the finished product is going to look like. I love the contrast of the red on top of the black. It's a color combo that I'm going for with my 240 here. I've always loved these colors as well. Taking off that masking paper and that blue tape really exposes the door panel, and this is almost how it's going to look as a finished product. Almost. Hope you kept that card close by. We are going to, again, just one more time, just make a final pass through of that crevice area to make sure that both the red and the black material are inside of that crevice and seated all the way down fully. We want to make sure that that stuff is adhering to the door panel really good, because you don't want any separation later on down the line. And this is the almost finished product. What do you guys think? I love it. Nice, clear, defined line of the main panel and the insert area. Looks really good. The material I use for the insert area is really awesome. There's a nice little glitter to it when you have some light beaming on it. The top part of the panel also has that nice clear separation. The side portion as well. Everything looks pretty amazing. To finish this up, flip the panel over and let's take care of the window switches and that door handle area. I make a cut after I apply adhesive. I do kind of a triangle on both ends, and I cut a line directly in the center connecting to the tip of that triangle that I just created. What I'm doing is I'm making this material in a way that I'm going to be able to fold it up onto the back side of that door panel itself. So here is another little triangle. I got an end there and the top end there, and I'm using the point connecting it to that middle cut that I did all the way down the center portion of the window switch. Once I got that taken care of, I'm grabbing the material and I'm going to fold it back onto the door panel itself, pushing my fingers against that material against the door panel, and this is what it should look like with the material pulled back on the back side. So that's the window switch area, and this is what the door handle area looks like as well. Same exact process. And here we have the completed door panel. This guy is 100% completed and ready to go. I love the way that this came out. What do you guys think? Please feel free to let me know down in the comments. If you guys have any questions, shoot me a message. I will do my best to answer all of your questions to make sure that you guys can make some pretty cool door panels yourself. I do have some more interior pieces coming up, so if you want to see how to wrap your dash in suede, please like and subscribe. That is going to be the next video that will be coming out here very shortly. Thanks for tuning in, guys. For a list of all supplies and materials used, please check the description. I'll have everything listed right there.